Welcome to the Monday, March 4th, 2024 Pre-Priority Setting Workshop. This meeting is called to order. Megan, could we have a roll call, please?
Of course. Jeff Arnold.
Here.
Mary Hosley.
Here.
Wendy Onuki.
Here.
Joe Reeser.
Here.
George Sleeper.
Here.
Letitia Wilkins. Annie Brown.
Here. Could we have a motion to excuse Letitia Wilkins?
Make a motion to excuse Letitia Wilkins.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? She is excused. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for the pre-priority setting workshop?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Kate.
Well, thank you, Mayor. We've got a lot of information coming to the council tonight. This is meant to be an informational session before the council walks into its priority setting next Monday at the Northside Marina. So we have on the agenda 3 different presentations as well as comments by support groups and then, of course, questions by council under each line item. So if you look at your agenda, we have 10 minutes allocated for each presenter, and then we have up to 10 minutes for all of the people who support that item, not 10 minutes individually. We'd be here for a while. And then 10 minutes for council comments. If we run a little short, if there's maybe not as many comments, we're just going to go to the next item and kind of go through that. So I know that we still have public comment on this agenda as well as council comments. And of course, that's all before our next meeting at 7 p.m. We do need about a 5-minute delay between the next meeting to reset for the next meeting. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. We do have up, there have been presentation materials that have been distributed to the City Council. You should have all received them. So we'll get into our first presentation about the recreation millage, and we'll have those folks come on up. We do have a clicker for everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scott Reinert. I work with the Visitors Bureau as well as the Recreational Authority. Have demonstrated a passion for recreation in the area, spent a lot of time personally over the last many years working on recreational projects for the area here. Appreciate getting together early on such a beautiful day, but we know there's some important topics to talk about, so we'll try to be brief and make our request. Again, we understand that you won't be making a decision tonight. We wanted to present the topic, ask for your consideration, answer any questions you might have, and our intent, again, at the end, is to come to City Council to ask you all to approve language that would be added to the August 2024 voter ballot for the recreational millage to be voted on by the voters in our community. So without further ado, just a few slides we'd like to go through. So basically, this is from the rec plan that was adopted by the township, the city, and Shara as well. We all know this, but park and recreational facilities are important elements to healthy communities. More specifically, the foundation for our request, know that recreation, I thought this was a great quote, recreation, leisure, and sports activities play an important role in communities. There are many benefits, including improving health and well-being of individuals, contributing to the empowerment of individuals, and promoting the development of inclusive community. That's from the WHO. There are lots of studies. I think we handed you one, but there's many, many studies that talk about the economic benefit of recreation and trails to communities. And then finally, we believe strongly that having strong recreational assets and youth programming are key to attracting young families to the area, in addition to housing and all those other things that we know about. So as a background, you know, we're all very, very proud, and all of us should be very proud, the city, the township, Shara, of the accomplishments. There are a lot that we could have laid out. We just laid out some key ones for the city. Basically, the Northside Marina improvements, Kids Corner Playground improvements, the restroom construction recently here at Dyckman Park, the outdoor fireplace, again, recently the splash pad, the ice rink updates, all very positive. One thing I can't believe I forgot was the fact in 2019 that South Haven was named one of the first 4 Pure Michigan Trail Town communities across the state of Michigan. So very proud of that. Shara, again, has just really exploded in terms of their efforts around recreational projects. We purchased the 14th Avenue site for soccer fields. Those soccer fields have been completed. They'll be ready to play on at some point this summer once the seed all germinates, but all the site work has been done, including the sprinkling system is in place. This golf park, we put that in a couple years ago. That's been a very active site. Pilgrim Haven site improvements. The Porter property acquisition, that was just a huge benefit for the community. We did receive preliminary approval from the DNR for our grant application. We've got a $300,000 grant approved, as well as $400,000 match from the CVB, as well as the Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy. So anyway, we've got $700,000 that will go to the first phase of development, which includes a fully accessible overlook and trail system in the Porter property. And then finally, the Phoenix Street Kayak launch, that is basically complete. The grand opening for that is May 17th at 2 o'clock. We invite you all to join us for that. That'll be the ribbon cutting and kind of official opening, so that's exciting as well. So a lot of great things going on there. Youth programs, we've got several folks here, but we know there's been some really active participation by parents and citizens and so forth in helping run and coordinate our youth programs. Takes a lot of time on a volunteer basis, but we've got some great things that have shown up there. And then partnerships, you know, we've done a great job leveraging assets. We've gotten a lot of matching grants from the DNR, a lot of volunteers, a lot of partnerships and so forth. The money that was raised for the soccer fields was done privately. All of the work for the disc golf park was done privately. And so anyway, we've got a strong history of getting things done in the community. However, as always, there's significant challenges. Just laid out a few here in terms of the city. The adopted rec plan identifies over $9 million of capital projects that are unfunded at this point. And also, the more assets that we bring on board, the more maintenance and operational attention that requires. From Shara perspective, we have some unfunded projects. I think you're all aware now that we have reached an agreement with the DNR to purchase the former Riverwoods property. We've got some grand plans for that site, and we just believe that is going to be a huge recreational asset for the area. The Interduna Trail, as I mentioned, that at the Porter property, we have plans long-term to continue going south with that. We know there's a need for baseball and softball fields. And I just wanted to echo this because you all supported back in September an increase. So right now, the city and township all contribute $4 per person to Shara operational and maintenance funds, in addition to the CVB kicks in $10,000. So we've got about $40,000, a little over $40,000. But that basically just covers the operational costs, the maintenance costs, cleaning costs, insurance, that kind of stuff. And then from a youth program, again, we've done some amazing things with volunteers and advocates and so forth, but there is no coordinated planning right now in terms of even scheduling or coordinated youth programs and so forth. We don't have a central point of coordination like we used to in the past. So our Parks and Recreation Master Plan, some of the highlights that they mentioned, renovating the North Beach restrooms, adding pickleball courts, dog park, trail connections, mountain biking, South Beach restroom, recreation for all ages. We know that those are key priorities. And again, right, the second point, the city right now does not have, any coordinated recreational programs or dedicated program leadership that we've had in the past. And then finally, the recreation plan has numerous recommendations for the creation of a millage that would cover some of these things, including park improvements and new park development. So basically, this is the final slide. What we're asking is to place a language on the August 2024 millage ballot for a half a mil Parks and Recreation millage for a period of 4 years. And the deadline, as you see, to submit that language to make it on the August ballot is May the 14th. The millage would generate approximately $272,000 per year. You can see the tax impact for a homeowner. So basically, if it's a $200,000 taxable value indicating a cash value of $400,000, that equates to $100 per year per household. The proposed allocation would be a third going to city parks, a third to Shara, and a third to community recreational programming, which we believe there's a strong possibility we can coordinate that through the public school system. Kevin Schooley has been a strong supporter of this as well. The funds would be invested in maintenance of existing facilities, in applying for local match grant opportunities, and then funding for recreational youth programming, as we discussed. So finally, again, what we're requesting tonight for future consideration at a future council meeting, we'll be coming back to ask for your consideration to allow the language to be placed on the August 2024 ballot for voter consideration. So, okay, so with that, I will ask for additional comments from our friends here, and then we'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jen Sistrunk. I am a Shara board member, as well as the executive director of the South Haven Van Buren County Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as a South Haven Township resident. So I'm here to endorse on behalf of the Convention and Visitors Bureau this millage. You know, our board meetings, our Shara meetings, we continue to have residents show up asking for additional facilities. We've heard from folks advocating for dog parks. We've heard from pickleball players. We've had our room packed with youth, softball, baseball, league parents. I'm one of those parents as well. So there's definitely a need for that. So I wanted to just take a quick moment and tell you about the Convention and Visitors Bureau's investment in recreation. We really believe that it is something that we can utilize visitor dollars for. And again, just to reiterate, the Convention and Visitors Bureau is 100% funded by visitor dollars. So all of these numbers I'm going to share with you here are all been funded by visitors. And since 2019, the CVB has committed $108,000 towards the Phoenix Street kayak launch that, like Scott said, is anticipated to open in the spring of this year. We've committed $60,000 in City of South Haven park enhancements, including the Robert the Fish sculpture on South Beach, and $50,000 in in-kind acquisition of the Dykeman Park restrooms. That was needed in order for the DDA to do those lovely renovations that we have there. Just for reference, we used to own that whole building, and so we understood the need to renovate those, so we gave those to the City of South Haven so they could do that. We also have committed over $24,000 in youth education for trails and recreation. Every year, we host fourth graders on the Calhaven Trail, along with Surratt Nature Center, the DNR, and a lot of other great volunteers to help us do that because we support recreation and understand how valuable it is for everyone. Again, these are all visitor dollars, doesn't cost our residents anything. This year for 2024, we have really extended our budget. We have $100,000 allocated for the preservation of the Nichols Covered Bridge. We know that that has come down, but we have stored that safely, and our hopes are to try and put that back on the Riverwoods property if the acquisition goes through. We have $100,000 for Phase 1 of the Interdunal Trail that Scott had mentioned that we plan to advance to, further south. Phase 1 is one of many phases, but we're still here and ready to support that project as needed moving forward in the years to come. We've allocated a new one, $50,000 towards a beach accessibility program that we haven't shared the details on, but we have $50,000 in our budget to make sure that we do our part to make sure that our beaches are accessible to everyone as well. So by the end of the year, the CVB will have committed over $500,000 since 2019 to support recreation. And, you know, we've heard from a lot of different residents that are ready to commit their dollars as well. I mentioned the pickleball players, the dog park players. They've got a lot of supporters with money also that really want to put their foot forward to make some of these things happen. So, again, as a Shara board member, my ask is for you all to consider putting this on the ballot in August. Nothing needs to be decided today, but just wanted to share our thoughts and how we like to contribute to recreation. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Dissett, 401 Pearl Street. And my ask to the council is very, very simple. Put this onto the ballot. Shara, you have a variety of folks here representing various recreation providers. We're willing to do the work. We're willing to knock doors. We're willing to go out and convince community members that this is a good investment. For the council, this is a relatively a low work item for you all. This is one, you just place it on the ballot and tell us to get busy convincing people that this is the right investment. I'm a parent of 3 kids. All 3 kids are doing sports throughout the year. And I can tell you, as someone who's traveling across Southwest Michigan, we're falling behind. And we've got to do better if we want to convince working parents to be here. And it is something that I live every day, and I would encourage you all to come down in the next month and see what the fields look like. It'll be a beehive of activity. And something that you'll see is young kids having to stay very late because we have limited space. That's true for baseball, it's true for softball, it's true for lane time in the swimming pool, it's true for just about every sport that we have going here. And I would encourage you, if you don't support it, that's absolutely fine. But don't kill the ballot request. Allow the voters to make that decision. I thank you very much for taking the time to consider this, and I look forward to seeing you all at the baseball softball fields in about a month.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ross Stein. I'm Supervisor of South Haven Township. I'm also Chairman of Shara. The township's had a quarter-mil millage for many years. We've used that millage to pay for the first project that was out there, $88,000 for the match to do the first work at Pilgrim Haven. When we got the Porter property, there were a couple structures there that had to be removed. The township paid that from our rec fund to get those cleaned up. So that's just a couple of examples of what the townships use our millage from. A little bit match won't go a long way. We need to have more than what the township contributes. So more from the city would be wonderful. When Shara started out, we've morphed. We started from soccer fields. Now we're doing trails. Now we're trying to help the kids get the the programs that they need. It's kind of silly to build these athletic fields and then not have programs to help the kids show up. So again, as Brian said, this is a relatively low input from city staff. Well, all we're doing is asking it to be put on the ballot. So that's my point. Now we'll turn it over to the organizations.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Jim Robinson. I'm here representing the South Haven Pickleball Club. As you all know, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the United States, and South Haven community mirrors that as well. Matter of fact, we've grown so quickly. Over the last 20 months, we actually formalized our South Haven Pickleball Club, and in that short period of time, we now have over 260 paid members. And those 260 paid members are very interested in supporting the recreational millage and seeing that it moves forward and onto the ballot. Irrespective of the fact that the pickleball club actually benefits directly, that's not our issue. Our issue is we are very supportive of recreation in the community. I think you saw that in the Parks and Recreation survey results as well, that the pickleball club is very interested in seeing growth in this particular sport. But and it's also a sport, I know I'm a little older, but it's a sport for all ages. So with that, we ask that you consider putting this millage proposal on the ballot in August, and we will put our 260 members behind your efforts to see that it does pass. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Bob Lindstrom, 823 Superior Street. My family and I moved here just over 30 years ago, and we've been residents of South Haven all of that time. I've been active in community engagement throughout those years. One of my most recent ways of being active is serving on the Dog Park Board of Directors, advocating for canine friends and their people. In that capacity, I'm encouraged both by the South Haven Parks and Recreation Master Plan, which includes the possibility of a dog park development, and the new proposal for the acquisition of the Riverwoods property by Shara, which could provide the home for a new dog park. This evening, I share with the City Council that the unanimous support of the Dog Park Board of Directors is behind putting this millage before the voters, and we hope that you'll do that. We unanimously support getting that onto the August city ballot. It seems to be an opportune time for our community to encourage vital partnerships between city and townships, Parks Department and Shara, community rec for youth, for mountain biking, for pickleball, and even for dog park enthusiasts. So we're on the verge of including such a thing. We ask your support to get it on the ballot, and we give thanks for the opportunity of your support to do just that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Aaron Presley. I'm the president of South Haven Junior Youth League, township resident. I have kids in the program. I can only wear one shirt, but I'm also the president of Rocket Football as well. And I mirror Brian's many thoughts on the need for expansion, a municipal park. We have continued to grow every year, and it's always a struggle finding room and time, sharing fields with the high school and both programs. Youth baseball, softball, we hit a recent record last year, 377 participants. And as exciting as that sounds, we secretly are, we kind of want them to slow down because we can't accommodate all them. We had to make changes to Pee Wee, for example, so they could all play a game each day. But we desperately need more space and a place to call home and not share with the school. And I feel the numbers are only going to increase like they have been in the past, but both boards unanimously support the proposal and wish that you would put it on the ballot.
Thank you.
So, again,
Any council comments?
yeah, we'd be happy to entertain any comments or questions between all of us. Hopefully we can answer.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I think it's easy for all of us to look at certain concrete items and vote yes or no, like a splash pad. We can see it, we can feel it, we see the kids playing in it. But the quality of life is harder to get our heads wrapped around. Just in the last couple of weeks, Time Magazine had an article about youth and adults alike, the stress ever since COVID, and people need recreation more than ever. That tied with something Brian said that really strikes me. We talk up here about affordable housing and creating more housing for our community and attracting young people. Well, one of the things that really attracts young people, and Brian made it clear when I talked to him, and as he's saying tonight, is that recreation does bring families, especially younger families, but it's all families. Pickleball, I started playing, and it's all ages, and I'm amazed by it. And it's rare a month goes by, I don't have a resident come up to me and talk about wanting a dog park. So I think you put all this together, and I do think recreation is not this fuzzy thing. It is a concrete thing that I think our community needs. And if we want to be competitive with the other communities when this power plant gets done, we want them to come here. We got to handle the issue of recreation. So it's an easy decision. Let the voters decide and put it on a ballot. Thanks.
Thank you. Mary.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it does hit on many items that people have raised and that our parks program have identified. I'm curious, so with millages, there's always some of it is potentially diverted to the DDA, BRA, and LDFA. If this millage passes, is it all going to the parks, or is some of it going to DDA, BRA, LDFA?
No, the intent, when we have the language, we're in the process right now of crafting the exact language, but it will be dedicated to the city parks department, to Shara, and to recreational programming is our intent.
But my understanding is, so these entities will disclaim it?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
You have local tax capture districts. If the council is desirous of moving this forward, it would be a simple request to ask staff to work with your TIF districts and have them opt out. That has been done in the past. It's something that could be done. That would be up to the council as to whether or not you wish to request that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, please.
And for this, so we heard that the township has a $250,000, and we're being asked for a half a mil. Can we get a spreadsheet of what both the township property owners and the city property owners pay so that we can see equitable distribution with regard to the amount each property owner pays? We're continually being asked to add a half a mil there and a half a mil there, and a half a mil doesn't seem like very much, but it starts adding up.
I believe that the packet that was provided, there's notation about the township leadership indicating a willingness to increase theirs so that there is parity between the two. There has not been parity for a number of years with the township actively floating the Shara.
But I'm asking to see a spreadsheet of all of the millages for the city of South Haven. So that would come from staff, so that we can see how the additional cost burden to the property owners is.
I'm not sure if you're making an ask to staff or to the volunteers
No,
sitting in the room.
that would be from staff, that when it comes back, I would like to see a distribution so that we can see
Okay.
the overall tax.
Yeah, the
Impact.
272,000 reference here did come from Michelle at the city staff. So, but the breakdown, yeah, of the millages, we don't have that. It's,
We can provide those millages to you that are in the city millages.
Thank you. We hear, it's not uncommon for us to hear people are leaving because they cannot pay the taxes. And so this is just another layer that's added. I'm not saying it's not worthy, but it would be nice to see the full impact of what our current millages are when they expire. And definitely the acceptability of DDA, BRA, and LDFA to opt out so that the full millage goes to the recreation.
Go ahead. Thank you for all the information you gave today. I am wondering if there's been any discussion about a community center, which could be between the city and the township, like a collaboration or potentially just in the city, but that could be supported by a millage like this. So I'm not sure who would answer that.
yeah. I think that's, that's certainly a possibility. I mean, one of the things that we've done, I think, you want to? Yeah, go ahead. You guys are probably better positioned than me, so.
I'll start.
Well, that hasn't been brought up. Right now, we're dealing with the Riverwoods on the trail. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do with that. We still have a build out to do with the athletic fields at 14th Avenue. There's a lot of demands on our current activities. That's a fine idea to think about in the future, but we'll have to prioritize that.
Okay.
You got people here wanting pickleball, you got people here wanting dog parks, you got people here that want baseball fields, there's people here that want soccer fields, so we'll just add that to the list.
And then I'll chime in with South Haven Public Schools. We've had an ongoing discussion with school leadership about trying to bring back youth programming during the summer season. Last year, I know that my 9-year-old couldn't get into YDC because of the wait list. That's Youth Development Corporation. It's a summer program. Over the past several years, there's been efforts to try and attract Boys and Girls Club to run programming in the area. I think those are all really achievable, but it just comes down to money. And right now, the city's own adopted rec plan notes that we don't have enough money going into parks. It notes repeatedly that a recreation millage is something that's recommended.
There's two other quick points I wanted to make. First, on the Riverwood site, again, that I think it's a really win-win, that we've got to pull this together and so forth. But one thing that we made clear is that we want to make sure that whatever we do at that property represents the needs of the community and so forth. So we will be engaging outside landscape architects to come up and develop a site plan. We'll use the same process that was used for Kids Corner and for the waterfront development project and so forth, where we'll have community public input sessions, surveys, all that kind of stuff. So when we get, our intent is to have the acquisition complete by the end of the year or late fall, and at that time, we'd also have kind of the site master plan developed. The other thing I wanted to make sure that was evident is that these community resources here are putting their money where they will be putting their money where their mouth is. So we're not just relying on this for the match dollars. Jim and the pickleball group here, they went out when we were talking about potential options. We were initially thinking maybe 14th Avenue, but when the Riverwood site became an option, we said, let's look at that. But they did an informal survey with their members, and they just said, hey, if we were able to come together with parks and so forth, would you contribute? And I think of the 260 members, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, but you had like 80-some members come back and say it, and it totaled over $130,000. So again, that's just a starting point without firm commitment. So there's money out there. Pastor Bob, his group will be out there raising money as well. So we're not going to just rely on this to do everything. There's a lot of interest in supporting these projects financially as well. So,
Thank you. Council, any more comments or questions? I know I, for one, think this is an exciting project, and I know you didn't have time to talk about the effect that recreation has on economic development, but I know Rock and Road Bike Store has seen just a huge increase in business since COVID, and I really believe that South Haven can become a recreation mecca. So I think it's great.
One quick story on that, and I know you got a busy agenda, but before we did the disc golf course, there wasn't a shop in town that carried any disc golf supplies, and now you find it at Walmart, you find it at Meijer, you find it at the bike shop, you find those supplies everywhere, and so it's just one example in my mind that, you know,
Right.
if there are those assets there, if we have a ton of pickleball courts, everyone's going to be carrying pickleball supplies more than they do now. So
Right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Thank you, Shara Group. So we will go ahead and ask Mr. Benjamin to come on up. There you go. If you just, I think, point this way, it should. Right there. Yep, and then it's got, if I may, there's the front and the, yep, and then there's a pointer on there. Yep. Yep.
Should I let them clear or just get going?
You can go ahead and start.
City Council of South Haven, thank you very much for allowing me to speak tonight. I greatly appreciate this opportunity. My name is Dave Benjamin. I'm with a nonprofit called the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project. I'm not local to South Haven, but I'm local to Lake Michigan. I've been swimming in Lake Michigan since 1970, so I'm old. I mean, not as old as some of the people here, but I'm old. I've also been surfing Lake Michigan since 2008. So it was a newfound love in life, late in life, of a physical activity, which is, you know, you have a great surfing community here in South Haven as well. In 2010, I had a surfing accident where I survived a drowning incident, and that is how I got involved in this. I knew how to swim, but I didn't know anything else about water safety. Knowing how to swim is not water safety, is what I learned. After that incident, I dedicated my life to water safety. We do some work with another group called Because I Said I Would, and it's promises made, promises kept for the betterment of humanity. The Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project, we have 6 key areas of operations. We track all the drownings that happen in the Great Lakes. We teach water safety. We work with family and friends of drowning victims. We train lifeguards and first responders for open water rescue. We also do a lot of work with the media, and then we do a lot of special projects. So water safety task forces across the Great Lakes is something we participate in, a lot of other advocacy groups. And coming here speaking as part of that we've been working on here since 2019. And then to back up, 2012 and 13, we did Lake Michigan water safety presentations here through your police officer, Adam DeBoer. He brought us in. So we need to understand water safety is not common sense. People think that water safety is common sense. They think that knowing how to swim is water safety, which it is not. Water safety is specialized training that very few people get. I grew up with swim lessons at the public pool, at the YMCA. I was scuba certified. I lived in California near Huntington Beach. I had a lot of water experience, but I never had a drowning incident. But when I did, the first thing I did was panic, and panic is the first stage of drowning, which I did not know. It's not common sense to know that. So what I want to do is have you understand why we need to have lifeguards, why it's so important. It's like a crash course in water safety research and statistics. It's not common sense for people to know that even though this was before your red flag swim ban, okay, this is a couple years old, but it's not common sense to know that there can be a longshore current pulling towards the pier. It's not common sense to know that going out along this pier is a structural current, and people get caught in this. They don't intend to get near the pier. They get pulled there by a current, and they get pulled out by a current, and sometimes there's fatal consequences. So if we look at the big picture of drowning, we need to understand that drowning is a public health issue, and according to the World Health Organization, drowning continues to be a neglected public health issue. This is a summary statement from a worldwide report on drowning over 12 years ago, and we still do not have a national water safety school curriculum. So we're very, very far behind. We don't have funding for education, research, outreach like other public health issues. So with this presentation, very briefly skimming the surface of understanding who drowns most, when, where, and why, and how big of a problem it is. If we look at the Center for Disease Control, drowning is one of the leading causes of accidental death in the nation and the world. When we look at 1 to 4-year-olds, it's the leading cause of accidental death. For 5 to 14, it's the second leading cause, second only to car accidents. And for the nation as a whole, it's the 5th leading cause. So it's a huge problem that very few people have no idea about, but they know how to swim, and they assume that that is good enough. Safe Kids Worldwide did this report in 2018, and then 43% of all drownings were open water. This was also the very first time ever that open water surpassed pools. Pools was always the leading body of water, but there's a pool and spa industry which funds research, education, outreach, permits, and rules for owning, operating, building pools. But now open water is the leading body of water, and unfortunately, we went to a presentation at the National Drowning Prevention Alliance Conference this February. 62% of all drownings nationwide happen in open water. Lake Michigan is a big body of open water. So it's a huge problem, and it really does need to be addressed. Pools, it went from 38% down to 22%. That's a great increase. We need to see the same with open water. American Red Cross did a survey, and 80% of Americans said that they knew how to swim. So then they started doing nationwide testing, and unfortunately, it was miserable. 54% of Americans who say they know how to swim cannot survive a water emergency based on the 5 basic skills tests, which is fall into water over your head and resurface, tread water for 1 minute, spin around 360 degrees to spot an exit, swim 25 yards or the length of a pool to get to the exit, and then climb out of the water without any assistance. So these are 5 basic skills that people who say that they know how to swim, more than half of them couldn't do this in a pool. Imagine them doing that in Lake Michigan, and then Lake Michigan with waves and dangerous currents. So it's a huge problem. So we do want everyone to know how to swim, but we want to understand that people are coming to your beaches with a pool confidence. When people go to the pool, they say they're going swimming, but for the most part, they never go swimming. They cannonball, they splash their friends, they throw a football, they go wading. They say they went swimming, but the only people who are swimming are doing laps, hundreds, thousands of yards, and a lot of people are not doing that kind of training. They don't understand that when they take their pool confidence and come to your beach, you could have winds and waves and dangerous currents. You could have cold water fluctuations that drop 10 to 30 degrees, which will impact your swimming ability. So there's a lot more hazards in the open water. So if they get in a little bit of water over their head and they start to struggle, they go to instant panic, and they can drown, unfortunately, very quickly. Another problem with drowning is most people don't know what drowning looks like. They think it's a long, traumatic event with lots of yelling and waving and help and splashing, and it's not like that. A person who's drowning is going to look more like this, typically facing shore, mouth at water level, head tilted back, their body's vertical, and they're doing the climbing ladder motion. So if you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to miss it, and it could be right next to you. This is what drowning looks like, and she was eventually rescued. She was swimming off of a boat. This person was also rescued in a pool that was drowning. This person was rescued in Grand Haven. There's a man in the water right here with a life ring going out to get her, but she's got this posture picture perfect. Mouth at water level, head tilted back, and her body's vertical. She was also luckily rescued by a surfer. We need to understand that if a person is actively drowning, they will submerge in less than 1 minute. 1 minute. So you have to have eyes on the water to identify that they're going from swimming to distress to now they're no forward progress, they're vertical, and they are actively drowning. You have less than a minute to get to them A young child can step in water over the head, they go right under. So it's going to depend on a person's age and ability. If someone submerges and we get them out of the water in less than 2 minutes, give them rescue breath CPR properly, it's usually a full recovery, 94% survival rate. But around 3 minutes, the heart's going to stop. Around 4 minutes, irreversible brain damage begins. And at 10 minutes of submersion, if we're then pulling this person out of the water, giving them rescue breaths and CPR properly, it's pretty much a body recovery. Very few people, unfortunately, are going to survive past the 10-minute mark. So we need to understand that's why we need to have lifeguards. We need to understand the role of the lifeguards and how much of an asset and a benefit. What is this, recreational mecca is what we're looking at building here in South Haven? Yeah, well, we have to have that high standard of having lifeguards then too. Lifeguards are trained eyes on the water. They're managing the beach flags efficiently, effectively, in real time with eyes on the water. 95% of their actions are preventative. They're educating the public. They're providing first aid. If someone steps on glass or has a bee sting, having a heart attack, we're getting older, right? We need that help on the spot. There's no calling 911. Because we need to understand that if someone is struggling in the water, someone's in the water, they see, oh my God, this person's drowning. How long does it take them to get out of the water, to get to their cell phone? Do they have cell phone service? Can they pinpoint their location? How soon are they going to dispatch? Even if the dispatch, the police, fire come within 3 minutes, they're arriving after the 10-minute mark, and this person's probably still out in the water, unless bystanders are risking their lives, and sometimes bystanders drown as well. According to the United States Life Saving Association, you have a 1 in 18 million chance of drowning at a properly trained, properly supervised beach. So what is missing here? Commitment. Commit now. Commit to lifeguards right now, and all of your future actions will be alignment to get lifeguards on your beach this summer. We don't need to have any more meetings to have meetings about the meetings that have already been had, because we've already had those meetings. We're having that meeting right now. Because unfortunately, the work has already been done. Not unfortunately, but fortunately, the work has already been done. The 2021 Beach Safety Committee meeting, everything was put together to bring back a lifeguard program, and Cameron and Sean Russell are here today with information on that as well. So, a bit quick summation. Water safety is not common sense for your beachgoers. Water safety is specialized training that the public does not get. We have a water safety bill for schools processing right now. Drowning is a neglected public health issue. It's a public health issue, and it continues to be neglected. It's one of the leading causes of unintentional death. Open water is a leading body of water where drownings happen. 54% of Americans cannot survive a water emergency. Drowning doesn't look like drowning, the timeline of drowning, and lifeguards are the gold standard. So we need to understand that we need this commitment now to have this summer. And never forget the timeline of drowning. And I apologize in advance here, but it is something that needs to be recognized. This is Emily McDonald and Corey Ernster. Corey posted this photo on Snapchat, and less than 15 minutes later was the first 911 call that bystanders are pulling a person out of the water. They were minutes away from surviving this incident, but there was no one to recognize that they were in trouble. There was no one to properly go out into the water to make the rescue. And then when these vacationers pulled people out of the water, they weren't properly trained for CPR, because you have to do the rescue breaths and the compressions. Drowning is a respiratory emergency. You must do the rescue breaths. The American Red Cross, American Heart Association just upgraded their standards, 5 rescue breaths, 30 compressions for a drowning victim. So we must do this, because I would rather remember them like this. And I'm local, unfortunately, to family members of drowning victims here in South Haven, as well as many other communities. And it's heartbreaking, and it's unnecessary. We need to prevent this now.
We're at the end of the presentation period. If you want to go into the support groups, we can go into 10 minutes of that. And then, of course, Mr. Benjamin, you can come back up after that for any kind of comments
Thank you.
the questions may have.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for going over.
Hey, everybody. Heather Welsh Johnson. I am the Executive Director of South Haven Ambassadors Program in Education. I've talked to you guys all many, many times about my feelings on lifeguards and about what we're doing with beachside education here in South Haven. So I wanted to really quickly address a couple of issues that I hear from beachgoers while I'm out on the beach. There are 3 total that really stick out in my mind. The first is the liability concern. If you look, the state of Michigan follows governmental immunity laws that provide certain protections to governmental entities, employees, and volunteers. These laws generally grant immunity from liability for acts or omissions related to their official duties unless certain exceptions apply. Regarding lifeguards specifically, the state of Michigan has adopted legislation known as the Governmental Tort Liability Act, or GTLA, which outlines the circumstances under which immunity can be granted. Under the GTLA, governmental entities, including municipalities, may be immune from liabilities for injuries or damages arising from certain actions or failures to act. This immunity can extend to lifeguards employed or appointed by governmental entities. The GTLA generally provides immunity for governmental entities and their employees as long as the employee was acting within the scope of their official duties and the conduct was not willful or grossly negligent. In the case of lifeguards, this means that they may be immune from that liability. You can go ahead and reference, there is a state case that was Beals versus State in order to check that out and see how that governmental immunity actually works. The second issue is cost. So I hear a lot of things from people talking about cost and the cost of lifeguards and how is this going to get paid for. It's very hard to find the City of South Haven's beach maintenance budget and allocation of funds since implementing the beach parking fees when they had lifeguards previously. The city budget does not offer ease of use for citizens, and I've heard several city council members actually mention this and ask for some kind of clarification on that. I would like to ask that city council have city staff show them the beach parking fee revenue and where those funds are being allocated. So it could help them understand how to increase the beach parking fee to help pay for the lifeguard program without having to file FOIAs and find this information on their own. As suggested in Cam and Sean's budget proposal, if parking were increased by $5 for the 160 paid parking spaces at the South Beach alone, the additional revenue would be more than $98,000 if it were full each day, which we do get full each day, multiple times a day. Doubling daily parking to $20 per day would add more than $196,000 from that lot alone, remaining full, which is normally done, like I said, all summer long. This revenue alone would be close to funding the entire lifeguard program. There are several grants available to help cover the costs, such as cost of such a program. City staff should also contact the CDC and the MDHHS. There has been a facilitation between the two. CDC has ranked us as number 5. The state of Michigan is number 5 out of 10 for the most drownings in the nation. So the CDC, having delineated that, has offered funds to the MDHHS in order to be able to help water safety education in the state of Michigan. So definitely reach out to them if you're looking for grant funding or anything like that. I'm sure there are dollars there that we would be able to use. There are also several local companies willing to donate, if approached, any number of items needed to help get the lifeguarding program to fruition, such as life ring stations, docks, jet skis, lifeguard towers, and the necessary life-saving equipment for those guard towers. Again, the city staff should be reaching out and finding these companies in a timely manner. The third issue I hear a lot about is having teenagers being lifeguards. So Bob Linderman was a pivotal person in the local swim program run at the high school pool way back in the 80s, early 90s, and he was pivotal in creating the lifeguard program. And so reaching out to these people and asking them to come in and really start to help us facilitate the program and see where we can build feeder programs to come into that from the high schoolers. Those feeder programs can be junior lifeguards. We do not have to start from scratch. There are people here that live still currently in South Haven that used to run this program a long time ago, and they have a lot of expertise, and they are all willing to help. I've reached out to every one of them, and they're all willing to stand up and help and come in and work with the city to do that. So to further strengthen our case, I would like to highlight the International Surf Life-Saving Association, or ISLA, an organization that specializes in training lifeguards effectively, can train a lifeguard in just 3 days effectively. So reaching out to them and asking them to come in and help, that would be a great resource. So it's worth noting that the lifeguard program can greatly benefit from the guidance and assistance of esteemed experts that we've named previously, Dr. Greg Field, Bob Pratt, Dave Benjamin. They're all here besides Greg, he wishes he could be here. He's here in spirit. But, you know, they've all offered those expertise and those consulting man-hours to be able to help us build this program and make it really, truly the best thing that's on the lake shore. You can also look to the Geneva Lake Water Safety Patrol in Williams Bay, Wisconsin. They have run a successful 100-year lifeguarding program on Lake Michigan. So they have a lot of expertise. And then also we just learned that Rob Williams, he is the head of the California Water Safety Alliance, and he's like the top dog in lifeguarding and things like that. So he has offered to come in and consult as well. So to provide direction and support to Kate and the dedicated city staff, I recommend that City Council furnish them with a complete list of necessary research collaborators and resources to explore for potential funding opportunities. Not more meetings. You should all have the data and information at this point. We've been working on this for quite some time. I know I'm new to the scene just last year, but you guys have really been doing the work for far longer than I have. So set clear timelines for each step of the process, as Kate mentioned in the February 5th, 2024 City Council meeting. This will enable her and her staff to efficiently carry out her responsibilities and with clear goals and make that meaningful process. Give her what she needs, you know. In conclusion, I want to emphasize our commitment to providing you with in-depth, comprehensive, and suggestive solutions for the lifeguard program should sufficient time and attention be allocated. Additionally, we would be more than willing to collaborate to develop a viable Plan B if we cannot get lifeguards on the beaches this year because of timing or training or what have you. We would be more than willing to talk about a viable Plan B for you guys. But now is the time to really take action and to really set this as a goal on your priorities and make it happen. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
You've got 2 minutes left. 2 minutes, 22 seconds.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Mayor, or Sean Russell. Good to see all of you. I mean, I know most of you from years past, but I just came, 05362 Seawall Court is where I'm at. I came with my cousin Julie, but not as much because she's my cousin today. Really just wanted to, I don't have much to add other than you've got so many resources at your disposal. Everything that was mentioned, and I just kind of wanted to reiterate that not only a great benefit for the community, but for both of us and a lot of folks we know, it was such a benefit for us. It was pivotal in our lives to be lifeguards and to be able to learn at a young age to give back to the community, even though we were high schoolers at the time when we started. Julie is currently running pretty much all of the swim programs at the high school level and the RAC level for the younger kids and helping with some of the swim lessons and whatnot. She went on to Michigan State and swam competitively there. And she's just one example of what has happened from our group, our young people that have gone into this, what we used to have here as a program. And the program is actually much older than the 90s or the 80s. I hear that a few times. It goes back, a lot of you that have been here for a while know, we had a lifeguard program that was, it started in the 50s actually. So Mr. Vidmar can talk about that. There's just so many folks that are local that can give you the history. And we're not saying that the way that it happened 20 years ago when it ended was the end-all be-all. But I think that we can really help you leapfrog into wherever it needs to be today so you don't waste any time and can get this going again. To see those pictures posted is pretty heartbreaking. So that's really, I just wanted to reiterate that you've got a lot of resources, and I think you guys should be, looking at it as much as you can. Do you want to add anything?
I can just give a couple of examples. So the first time I rescued someone, I was 10 years old. Rescued them from my uncle's pool, and I was just a strong swimmer. Swam through high school, became a certified lifeguard. I was lifeguarding on the beaches here when I was 14. The second time I rescued someone from Lake Michigan was as a lifeguard employed by the city of South Haven. It was a teenage girl. Rescued several other people from the beach those subsequent years as a lifeguard. You don't have to be an adult. I enforced rules as a teenager. I would say the reason why it was successful as enforcing rules, keeping people safe, was because we had the support of the city. We had the support of the police officers. They were always there. They were always dependable. They always got our back. So I think, the teenage issue if you have a strong swimmer that's a teenager, you know, they can rescue any adult. We went through rigorous training with Sean, with Bill Dustin, with Bob Linderman, you know, to learn how to do those things. So I think it's safe to say that you could trust a strong teenage swimmer to rescue any adult. Doesn't matter their age or their size. If you're properly trained, you can do those things. I've done it, so.
And I think you've got Bob Pratt that wants to come up next, but he's one of the, oh, sorry. Okay. Well, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're open for any questions.
Any council questions or comments for this group?
Nobody else?
Go ahead.
Can anyone say which group should be like a first contact? So Williams Bay, Wisconsin, I know there's also efforts in Holland. I know Rob Williams has offered as a consultant. You know, what is the first step? Who would be have the broadest jump start?
I would reach out to everyone because we don't know what their schedules are. We don't know what their, you know, many agencies, most agencies across the country have been in this process for months. Many of them are actively doing training right now. Many of them, I just saw on the Jacksonville, Florida agency has just graduated their class for this year. So I would reach out to all of them and find out who's available and how they can help.
I would recommend having someone local, like Heather Johnson, be like a point person who may be, you know, the lead person if she's up for that and available for that. The Surf Rescue Project is always available, so we can assist with this as well. We've worked with USLA, he's ISLA, but Bob, you're the Great Lakes Vice President of the USLA. So we have these contacts, especially through national conferences as well. So it's really phone calls and emails, and we'll just map it out. Is there any other questions?
Kate, so I know you've been making phone calls, and you had mentioned you had gotten the name of someone in California. Was that Rob Williams? Have you spoken with him?
No, I talked with Justin McHenry.
Okay.
But he did reference the city of Carlsbad, which we have not been in contact with.
Okay. What was Justin's last name?
McHenry.
And regarding the financing, I mean, do we have a financial statement, for lack of a better description? You know, all the money that we're currently spending, you know, beach enforcement officers, what money we're getting from the parking, what discretionary money we're putting towards park efforts. You know, what is the budget that we're currently
I
spending?
don't have it at my fingertips, but there is something that we've been putting together. We know the expenditures, and we also know the operating. We also know that we have 2 bathrooms, 2 areas that have to be updated in the next 5 years according to our CIP plan. So we've been putting some money away because at least the master plan for the South Beach calls for at least a $1.2 million plan. And if we're going to go look for grant funding, that means we have to come up with the 50% match. So we've been socking money away because it's very easy to wipe that fund out with those things. I know that with the splash pad, the beach fund was tapped, and we had to actually ask additional money from the DDA because all the money had been expended. So we've been building up that fund over time. But they do address the existing current funding for the beach enforcement attendants, which would probably likely to still be out there because you still need code enforcement out there. We still have a pier and safety ordinance on the books. We also have, and I beg your pardon, we have 6 more minutes. Is there
Yeah,
any other
so I was
comments for this group?
I was just going to say, could we set a time when we could discuss the financial aspect of our current beach and have all that information available?
We can set that time up. I know that this is an informational meeting as council's going into priority setting, so as we come out of that, there's lots of things that we can determine what council would like to do on those priorities.
Exactly, and some of that is cost-based.
Can I add to that? Way back, initially, parking fees were instituted to fund lifeguards as well as the park, and then lifeguards were terminated shortly thereafter. If there was a parking increase, that would probably have the least amount of burden on your city and your city taxpayers, and then the people who are benefiting from having lifeguards the most are paying for it themselves. So it's kind of a simple solution. And if we look into Muskegon, a couple years ago, they first started charging for parking. Their first year, $500,000 of revenue for the summer months of parking. So with that $500,000, did they go and spend it on lifeguards? No, they doubled the fees. And the next year, they got $1 million. So the thing is, we believe money's there, and it doesn't hurt to have the people who are benefiting from it the most. I mean, which would be me when I come here to go to the beach, or any other guest, and would have the least economic impact on your budgets.
Can I go ahead? Can I just ask you one more question while you're up here? What, in your opinion, are some of the biggest hurdles for cities trying to bring back lifeguards?
You want the politically correct answer? Wow, that's, you know what? Failure to act. Failure to act. That's why at the end of my presentation, you guys need to commit. No more meetings to have meetings about meetings, because we're having that meeting right now. You say, yes, we're doing lifeguards, this is our deadline, and suddenly you start taking actions to make that the future that actually happens. But as long as we say we need to keep bringing more specialists, have more roundtables, et cetera, you're dragging it. And unfortunately, that is what has happened since 2020, and many more people have drowned, right? And unfortunately for me, I get the family members calling up sometimes within days of the incident, a complete emotional wreck. I'm not a grievance counselor, but here I am taking it on and being sensitive with what I'm saying and hearing them completely. In 2019, went to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Theron Brooker's family and friends went to the condo association where he lives and did a Lake Michigan water safety presentation so they could understand what happened, why it happened, how it could have been prevented, and if they want to do anything further. Some do, some don't. It's an emotional roller coaster that no one should have to go through. Your family fun day at the beach, which should be memories for a lifetime, should not be a tragedy that you are traumatized with for the rest of your life. And that is what I hear. Are there?
I may be wrong, but it would seem like there's got to be some towns, either in Michigan or somewhere in this country, take the East Coast, New Jersey beaches, where they have lifeguard programs, where they have all the work done, they have them operating. Could we get an idea how they run it, how much it costs, and liability? Because that's the three things.
Absolutely, and this is the thing. Sean and Cameron have already done that for your city. Let's look at lifeguarding in general. It really hasn't changed. You have a hat, sunglasses, suntan sunscreen, a whistle, a bathing suit, an elevated chair. We're not coming up with rocket science. We're coming up with eyes on the water, people who are physically fit, actively trained, properly supervised. 95% of the work is preventing accidents from happening. Recognizing before it happens. If this person continues to drift towards the pier, they're going to be in water over their head, and then they're going to be going out along the pier, right? So the lifeguards are the most efficient and effective management system for your beach flag systems, for keeping people off the piers, for watching your swim zones. I'm not saying every square mile. I'm saying North Beach and South Beach, not every beach, but you need to give the most populated beaches the most protection.
1 minute.
Because we should consider there should be a higher duty to protect the people who come here, because they come here to go to your restaurants, to your retail stores, to your gas stations, to your grocery stores, staying in your short-term rentals or your hotels. Okay, and they're coming here from around the country. They know how to swim, but they have no water safety competency, period. Okay, and that's what we know is coming here.
Go ahead.
You talked about the pier and the structural currents. What is the safe distance for swimming away? I mean, the safe difference that you should put in the buffer between the safe swimming area?
I believe it's 100 feet is one of the standards.
Oh, your time's up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to the last group here today. Dave, never mind, I found them. There's the two folks there. Oh, yeah. I know.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. I am your regional pirate, and I want to thank you for your service. I really appreciate you doing what you're doing, so thank you all. I am the Executive Director for the South Haven Region Business Hub. Our mission is clear and simple. We want to be, South Haven Region Business Hub wants to be the place where entrepreneurs want to start and grow. And before you, I put 3 pieces of information. One is our goals. I want to read that to you, and it's probably going to be the last thing I read. Our goal is for the South Haven Region Hub is to increase equitable opportunities for all entrepreneurs, but our primary work is to eliminate racial disparity in business revenue and entrepreneurship to create long-lasting businesses that generate wealth here in the local area. One of the things we know in starting businesses that 50% of businesses fail in their first year. Our goal is to help them make sure that they can be past that first year by giving them the resources that they have the opportunity to do that. We are not economic development. We are, our target audience is those who are between aspiring entrepreneurs and those who have 25 to 50 employees or less. So when I started my first company, we didn't have the resources that larger organizations have. So we help give them the resources to help them get to that next level. Typically, your funding institutions do not start or help startup organizations. They do not help fund early growth organizations. So we're there to help give them the resources to help them grow. We have 3 a series of programs. One is our Growth Series that helps organizations in the 3 years and above areas. We have a Startup Growth Series, and we have roundtables. So I apologize, I'm a little bit nervous. But our major thing is we want to provide resources that help businesses here in the local area grow and provide them with the resources that help them get to that next level of wealth. So I want to share some of the stories that I think that are most important. What the U.S. Census Bureau tells us is 64% of all jobs are created by neighborhood businesses, yet they receive less than 19% of resources available. And those 19% of the resources happen to come from funding or any resources. And here in South Haven, that is when we say neighborhood businesses, those are everything under 50 employees. So they don't receive any of the funding or any of the mentoring resources that might be available. So those people are struggling for where do I go? Where do I get, and who can help me to that next level? So that's what we do. So when somebody's looking for, how do I find financial resources? So one of the things that, so some of the stories, and I'm given the opportunity to share some of these, so everybody knows, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But Sam Dustin, she's our local tattoo artist here in town. She wanted to grow her business, and she couldn't because she's in a studio that only allows her to have 2 tattoo artists. So the bank told her to come to us to help her get into a larger facility. She goes, I don't know how to build a business plan. They want me to build a business plan. So we went over to the Flying Saucer, we sat down, and we're going, okay, tell me about your business. What do we need to do? How do I build? She says, I need 3-year projections. I don't know what 3-year projections are. Okay, tell me about your business. We sat there and we're playing around with her computer, and we built 3-year projections. What's your cost of goods sold? I don't know what cost of goods sold are. Okay, let's suppose your cost of goods sold. So we helped her build her 3-year projections and a business plan. She now is in a new facility, has the ability to hire 9 artists. She currently has 4, all right? And one of them came from California. One of them came from Grand Rapids. So she's here now with the ability to hire 9 additional people. And now that she understands how to build profitability and cost of goods sold, she's also bought a house. So good for her, right? One of our other people who went through our startup series, and from that startup series, there's multiple different stories, but he was a migrant worker. He grew up in a car, and he says, I want to do this. I'm going to start my own company. He now has his HVAC license. We helped him build a business license, helped him start an LLC. He's now 2 years old, his company is. We helped him get a truck because nobody's going to help him get funding, right? He now has 7 employees, 2 apprentices, and 2 young children that are eventually going to go through our school systems. So these are the kind of resources. Most of you know Arul and Monique Crowley. They wanted to start a restaurant. Unfortunately, it's not here in South Haven, but eventually it will be, right? Monique is wonderful. I'm telling you what, she knows how to build a financial statement. We helped them build their cost of goods sold, but nobody's going to finance them, right? Because they're a startup. So we helped them find the right financial institution so that they could then get the financial support that they needed to help build their business. Now, how does that help here in the local community? These people, probably not today, but here in 3 years, 5 years, these are the future of our community. They are the people who are going to support our communities going forward. They're the ones who are going to be building our recreational areas, right? Maybe our lifeguards. They're the ones who are going to be sending their kids to our schools. They're the ones creating our generational wealth going forward. But they're the ones we're helping to support with our resources that we know that we can help do, that we help build them on. But we need our ask is for the dollars to help us, to help them get where they need to go. So that's what we're asking from this council here today. We have multiple stories like this, and we want to continue to be able to do that. One of the other stories that I like to tell, and for those of you who came to our pitch, we have a pastor here in town, and he goes around telling everybody that I taught him how to run a business. He taught me cornhole bags. I don't know, how many of you know how to, cornhole toss? Not me, I didn't know anything about it. So, but he was selling cornhole bags for $10 a set. He's now selling them for $70. Because somebody had to talk to him about what's your cost of goods sold, right? And then how do you build a website? Where do you go? How do you build a website? How do you get your customers? So people may come to us, and maybe it's not the right time to build their business, but maybe it is. How do they do customer discovery?
1 minute, Debbie.
Okay? So that's what we're here to do, is help provide them some answers, some resources, some guidance on how to build their business. So we'll hope you consider our financial support. Some of the questions that people have asked us is, what makes a good business hub? It's when you put together all the eco-resources. It's state, it's local, it's philanthropical, it's foundations, it's everybody. I have a favorite saying that says, it takes a community to raise an entrepreneur. We can't be in silos. We all have to work together to provide this support to make our community strong. So thank you.
Thank you.
So this time, we'll take any comments from your support groups.
Hi there, Mike Neese. I reside at 509 Fruit Street. I want to talk about the Business Hub, but first of all, I want to remind you that we're here because you invited us to be. And I don't mean this meeting. I mean the South Haven Regional Business Hub. We are an outgrowth of the Economic Development Strategic Plan for South Haven. In one section, talking about weaknesses and opportunities, they talked about the lack of entrepreneurial spirit, aspiration in the city of South Haven. They actually called it anemic. I was shocked when Jim did put his statistics together that since 2010, we have steadily lost businesses in South Haven, small businesses. Not growth. We've lost them since 2010. Part of the solution that Jim pointed out is we needed something like SCORE to fill that gap to help our entrepreneurs with the support, the mentoring, the education. And he happened to know someone that ran the SCORE organization out of Benton Harbor in this area, Debbie. And Debbie knew a bunch of us that happened to work under her in SCORE, and she said, come on, let's go. Let's get this started. So first of all, I want to acknowledge Debbie's work, and it's been amazing. But now I want to tell you our dilemma. Our work has been done mostly on a volunteer basis. We don't mind. We're all committed to our community. We love to share our skills. But it costs money to do this, folks. Even simple stuff like printing materials on your own home printer for the classes. By the way, we have Jeremy here with us as well. Jeremy worked some magic, making sure we had not only a place to present our workshops, but we also have a dedicated space out at the college, and that's been greatly appreciated. We have had support from the community. We've had several of our local businesses support us in terms of sponsoring some of our meetings. Some of the folks that are sitting behind me that are also volunteers to this effort. Trevor's been always the first one saying when we got to feed people at these meetings, he steps up. GB's sitting behind me as well. He's one of our primary mentors on financial issues. But if you've ever run a business, and I know Annie and I know Joe have, you know that these services aren't free. They are free if you happen to be in South Haven. But even that's a misnomer. I'm not here asking you to give us a handout. I'm asking you here to make the investment in us. I would hold our results up against Connexus, up against Market Van Buren. If you take a look at what we've actually done in terms of creating jobs, the small group of people who do this on their own dime. But we can't ask Debbie to fund this out of her own pocket anymore. We can't ask our great marketer in Kalamazoo to do this at pennies on the dollar for what she charges. We need to pay for this. Now, here's my deal with you. It's not a handout, folks. Look at what we're giving you back. 10 jobs at a tattoo parlor. I can't tell you how many other stories there are. They're wonderful. And it's not just the workshops. The workshops have been great, but the mentoring. And by the way, I'm looking at Joe and I'm looking at Annie. We still need more mentors, and I know you've both been successful running businesses. We'd be happy to have you along. Jan Varney's on the Planning Commission as our most recent addition as a mentor. So it's local people helping local entrepreneurs with real problems, and we get them solved. And because we are small and efficient, we move really quickly. Debbie says she's not good at writing grants, but we're running our business on grants in her pocketbook right now. We can't do that. We can't continue to do that. If we want to keep economic development as one of our priorities in this city, you must fund us, because we're your best option to get those entrepreneurs in their buildings and making money and hiring employees. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi there, everyone. Jeremy Burleson, 05160 County Road 687, South Haven. Thank you for having me. Thank you for serving. I appreciate all of that. I just want to echo some of the things that have already been shared. When we look at what happened after COVID, and we looked at how we utilize our space within the college, I'm sorry, I'm sick, so it's, sorry. We look at how we utilize our space within the college. One of the things that we wanted to make sure that we brought in was an incubator space, an availability for people within the community to be able to use the space to build for the community. The Business Hub has done that, and I've seen through the 9 years that I've gone through here, even working with K-12, we get a lot of people that come in and they have these grand ideas, and they're phenomenal, and they could totally be worked out. And I'm always behind them. I'm like, yes, let's do this. We've got kids here that can do that. They'll run it. They'll be amazing. But then after that first pitch, they're done, and I don't hear from them again. And so I have to reach out, and I go, hey, what happened to this idea? It sounded great. What happened? Nothing. Crickets. But then when Debbie calls me, she's like, hey, Jeremy, we've got an opportunity to use some of your classrooms. I'm like, that's phenomenal. Let's do it. We've got students, and Jeff knows this. We see students that come through the classroom, they can't necessarily fit into that pigeonhole that we put them in with the economics and the government that we teach them, because they have the grandiose idea of building a business. And they're able to do that, but they just need that little bit of help, that little bit of knowledge that I can't provide that. But we have a group of people that have volunteered and said, hey, listen, we want to provide that for the community and for the people within the area. And so Debbie reaches back out and she's like, hey, Jeremy, like, I pitched this to you. Like, what's happening with the space? Can we use this room? 100%, let's do it. Then all of a sudden, somebody knocks on my door and they're like, hey, Jeremy, we want to do a Shark Tank pitch. Can you help us out? I'm like, well, sure. All of the other stuff had already been done. She had worked with the people to try to build these businesses. The group had sat down with them. And you see on these pictures, all the people that you see in those Zoom meetings, they have actually sat down and they've utilized their time already to help people create businesses within the community. And we've sat on these councils and we've talked about how do we make South Haven better. One of the things that we always talk about is bringing businesses to the community. We do talk about housing, we talk about internet, we talk about the other things. But we have a group here that is ready and willing and has already shown that they can do this. And they've backed it up with their work and effort. To be able to say we've got community members, we've got young adults that want to live in this area, that want to grow and thrive in here, and they want to build a business within the area. They've shown that they can help build them. They're already here. All we have to do is help support it. Lake Michigan College supports all of this, and I have opened the doors to whatever we have to do to try to make this happen, because this is education, and this is South Haven. And so I totally commit everything that we have to do and everything that we can do to be a partner with the city and with this group to try to grow these programs and these businesses, because I think this is how South Haven grows. So with that, I'll say thank you.
Trevor Brooks, 559 Phoenix. So I'm part of Debbie's planning team, and watching her go to work and stuff, incredibly impressive. But I kind of want to talk about something that's slightly a little different. One of the things that we talk about here in this city, and Joe just mentioned it an hour ago, the attraction of young people. And I've actually done quite a bit of research on that topic. And there are tons of different types of surveys done to, it's like, what is the things that people care about? Which I find kind of interesting with the topics of this particular meeting. This is the number one thing when you're trying to attract millennials and stuff to your towns, the things that they look for first. Number one, recreation. The fact that we have the lake and we have the trails and we have, and you know, the meeting, this topic earlier, recreation is the number one thing that people look for. It's not housing. Number two, safety. Safety on the lakes, probably one of the number one priorities that people would care about. And you know what number three is? Actually, number three is kind of interesting. It's hubs, business hubs being the number one.
1 minute.
You have 1 minute.
The business hubs, the fact that when young people come together, they want to come together, they want to work in groups and stuff and understand how they can, you know, further, and business hubs is a necessary entity if you're going to try to attract young people. So with that, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, well, we got 30 minutes left, and it looks like they're done with their time. 30 seconds left. Thank you, Jeff. It's a misnomer there. I guess then we'll just go ahead and proceed to public comment. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes.
Oh, questions from
Oh,
council.
I beg your pardon.
No problem.
I did put city council comments after public comments.
But no, for
Oh, we're
them.
still, oh, thank you very much. I am out of it. So city council comments, yes, my apologies.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Wendy?
Did you, okay, thank you. I had two questions. One is about the service area. If you could just define that a little bit for us. I know it says South Haven. And then funding, which Mike kind of answered, is a lot of grants and then out of pocket. But if there's any other revenue source.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we are the regional business hub, so we cover all of Van Buren County. And we actually were grassroots in, I gotta look at my notes and if I can read them. We became grassroots in 2022, and at that point, majorly, it was funded by myself. In 2023, we were an LLC, and in 2024, we became a 501c3. So, and now we do have a grant that we're hoping to get that money shortly. It's through the MEDC. So we're hoping to get that funded, but it actually had to come through Can-Do Kalamazoo, because unfortunately, Van Buren County is too small to receive a grant through the MEDC. It's another story. But anyway, we are too small. So that grant is coming through Can-Do Kalamazoo, which is a hub that I started in Kalamazoo. So fortunately, we are getting that funding. We are looking through other municipalities in the Van Buren County. They're all excited to hear what we're doing, but once they heard I'm also looking for funding, crickets. So, but we'll continue to pursue them. We are looking at a grant through Kellogg Foundation. We're also looking through a grant through the Upton Foundation and a couple other grants that we're looking for funding through. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
And we are actually, because we are a 501c3, looking for a community fundraising campaign that you'll be hearing about shortly, like in May, June.
Joe?
Yeah, question. When I started my business 30 years ago, I had worked for a Fortune 500 company, so I had all that structure, but I didn't know how to start a business, my own. And I remember the community college, and the reason I bring it up because we have a community college. But back then, Kalamazoo Community College had a course on entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And I remember they taught us how to write a business plan. They taught us how to read financial statements, create them. They taught us how to hire, fire, what you can and can't say. It was a great start. And I'm just wondering, does our community college have any plans to do something like that? And then I have a
That's actually what the hub does. Yes, we do that.
So, and I think the biggest thing, what we wanted to make sure was that this is what this group is trying to do. So we don't have it on the books right now to say that LMC has this course to offer as credit bearing, could transfer to another institution, but that doesn't mean that we can't build that. And what we're displaying right now is we have the ability and the curriculum and the instructors to build it already. So it's not something that we just don't have it on the books right now. But that's definitely something that we could totally do with our students coming in. Because like you said, what a great way to start doing this.
And actually, what's interesting, and I'm glad you said that, Joe, what's interesting is Prince Covington is also owns Moveports now. He's one of our clients, and he used to teach entrepreneurship over at Andrews University. And he said teaching entrepreneurship and living entrepreneurship is completely different. He goes, being awake at midnight thinking, oh, am I going to make payroll tomorrow is completely different than going through and understanding cash flow. So, yeah, that's one of the things that we do, is teach, writing the business plan, but also we've walked in those shoes. That's why we could use you as a mentor, Joe.
So one other question tied in with that. So I remember doing that. But as my business was growing, I remember below me in the building, there was a young woman who was successful as a insurance agent.
Right.
And one day, and she and I would work till 11, 12, 1 in the morning, because I remember always saying to her, if you need someone to walk you out to your car, I'll be able to do it, because walking out at 1 o'clock in the morning in an empty parking lot is a little scary. But then I noticed a couple of nights she had a man walking out with her. So I talked to her the next day. What Kalamazoo had, and I don't know if they have it, but they had an organization, I'll just call it the Leadership Group. And
Right.
it was a group of successful, retired business people
Score.
that you could call, and if they had an expertise in your
Score.
type of business, they came out to her, and this one man had been an insurance agent, and her business took off.
Yeah.
And she's a very successful woman now in Kalamazoo, but I remember him being in there and teaching her.
Yep. It was probably SCORE. I was the executive director of SCORE for 10 years in Kalamazoo prior to starting this here. And before that, I started my company in 1989 with 7 employees and grew it to 400 employees. And sold it in 2003. So I also know how to start a company, but I also know how hard it is to go from 7 employees to 400. And there's, how do you do that? And there's different paths along that way. So when somebody has 10 employees, how do you help them grow to 20 is a different path, right? So what we want to do here in South Haven is how to do that. Multiple people had asked me, do we need, and I think Annie and multiple people have asked me, what businesses do we have to have here in South Haven or attract here? I think we have to help our aspiring young people build their businesses here and help our businesses here grow, like our Sam Dustins. We have to help them grow here first, and our aspiring young people grow here first. We have to help our Larry Phillips with the cornhole bags. We have to help the young man who came here to talk to me a couple months ago and says, I want to start a charter sailing company here. I want to do that. Will you help me? We have to help them first, and the other companies will come. They will. I know it. I've seen it, right? And then the other companies will come.
So if somebody wanted to start, I was leading to this, if someone wants to start a business in this town, do they know where to go?
I hope they come to us.
But do they know? Are you?
Well, that's the biggest thing why we need the money. That's the biggest thing why we need the money, because we need to get the advertising out there. We need to get the advertising out there. We need people on. We need you guys. The banks. They know. The bank, Sam Dustin came to us because the banks told her to come to us. Sherry Seston, who started a bed and breakfast, came to us because the banks told her to come to us. So we need to get the advertising out there. That's one of the reasons why we need the money. We've got lots of wonderful volunteers, but unless the message is out there, they don't know to come.
Exactly.
So we need the money to help get the advertising out there, to get on the radio, to get on television. I don't know.
I think one of the coolest thing that you just mentioned, Joe, was that the fact that there was one specific moment that you walked through with a woman through the class, and then you walked out of that class, and that moment still resonates with you. So you sat through that entire thing. We have the opportunity to provide that moment for other people within the community. So it's not just that person that resonates to you, it's that we have the ability now to be able to say, we can build those businesses, and we can bring those people that are interested in insurance or what have you, and then bring the specialists in to help that person grow. And if it is just to walk them out to the car or make sure that they're safe, we have that ability to also do that as well.
Or give them the daycare.
And we have Kids Zone as well.
So
But
I remember I don't want to take too much
No,
time.
no,
I
that's okay.
remember the community college class.
Yep.
They would talk about business plans and
Yep.
all that. But then, every night for half an hour, they had another special speaker come in who was either an insurance agent, a
Perfect.
real estate agent,
But we do.
a manufacturer, and you got a taste of all of these. And a lot of people in that class didn't know what kind of business they wanted to start, but they had that drive.
until you
to
introduce
start
them
a
to it.
business
Yeah, and that's just
what
it.
we do.
Yep, and that's something that we can provide, for sure.
At the community college.
Yep, for sure.
Well, I think
Yep.
the other thing too, to your question, Joe, one of the things that's special about this group is there are things in common that all businesses need. You need accounting, you need business plan, you need all that stuff, marketing, whatever. Our distinction is they're local people providing local resources. It's knowing how to work the local businesses that's really paying off for us. I'm very proud of our curriculum. I think you know, I formerly was one of the officers of the Management Development Center at Lansing Community College, and this is exactly what we did in the city of Lansing. We're on a much smaller scale here. But if you take a look at our curriculum, it starts at point A, works them all the way through, plus they're moving through largely as a group. The network we're building is almost as important.
It is.
As important as the information they're receiving. They're learning how to talk to one another, how to support one another. And we have some unbelievable businesses in this town that people don't know about that
Your
we're helping
time's
spread
up.
that message. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now it's time for public comment.
That's correct. I'm back on the agenda, so yes, we're on to public comment, 2 minutes.
You have 2 minutes. You can speak about any topic you'd like.
May I pass these out?
Sure.
Okay, this is information put together from Sean Russell and Cameron Doherty in regards to lifeguards.
I can do it for you.
Yes.
Then you can talk.
Okay, very good.
Oh, your 2 minutes are done? Or you, oh, go ahead. I'll talk fast. Okay.
Okay. Pardon me, I'm going to look at my phone. Hello, everybody. My name is Samantha Kester. To many in town, I am known as Coach Sam. I was born in South Haven, raised on Chambers Street, and I now reside in Covert. Swimming has been a huge passion of mine since I was a small child. Growing up on Lake Michigan, swimming at our north and south beaches, I even have vague memories of lifeguards on our beaches and aspirations to be one. My love of all aquatic activities evolved into a passion for competitive swimming, and later again, evolving with a more fierce passion to stay in the aquatics industry, where I currently coach as well as teach water safety and swim lessons. This is my passion. I am the elementary swim director at South Haven Public Schools, and I work with our 2nd to 5th graders, and I teach them water safety and basic swim lessons, basic level swim lessons. Along my journey in the aquatics industry, I've achieved and maintained my water safety instructor and lifeguard instructor certifications with the American Red Cross.
You have 1 minute.
In the last 3 years, I have certified lifeguards in South Haven and surrounding areas that assist with safety services at our summer camps, our swim practices, triathlons, and different establishments such as Sleepy Hollow, Lake Arvesta, and some places even as far south of us as Lake of the Woods. First, I'd like to say along this journey that I have taken in the last several years, I have learned that in the state of Michigan, there is a huge need for water safety, and lifeguards are an essential part of that need. We are only just beginning to see a new movement for change in water safety on a statewide as well as a nationwide level. South Haven still has a chance to be on the forefront of that movement. Another one of the many hats that I wear includes basic life support instructor. I tell you this because this is a basic level certification that's carried by all of your healthcare providers, their assistants, and I think it's important to know that your first responders come in many shapes and sizes. Basic life support training implements what many leading healthcare training associations refer to as the chain of survival.
Oh, your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And Sam, if you have that typed up, you can always email that to us too.
I will be happy to email that to you. Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
I'm having deja vu. Trevor Brooks, 559 Phoenix. One of the things, this is a priorities setting meeting, and one of the things that's important is to be able to look out and, see what the future is and such like that. My day job is not the restaurant. My day job is actually, I'm a digital consultant and I do all things. So one of the things that's important is I have to stay on the bleeding edge of things. And I've been doing a significant amount of research in AI and how that impacts, what we're going to be and stuff. One of the things that caught my attention recently was the energy requirements for AI. And there's already expectations, and Elon Musk has already mentioned this, is he thinks they're going to run out of energy, that Microsoft, Google, and Amazon are going to run out of energy by 2025.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you. And the reality here is these companies are going to go out and they're going to start buying nuclear power plants because they need that energy to run their data centers. And I thought, interesting. 2-3 years from now, we could have Microsoft in our backyard. We have to be thinking about those things. We have to have economic development that's thinking about this kind of stuff, because the opportunity is, by the time the opportunity essentially presents itself, we got to be in a position to say, hey, come here, bring your people here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to add to the answer that you questioned before, like where do we start with this? Well, you already have a city employee named Adam DeBoer who is well qualified. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but back in 2013, the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project hosted a 3-day, 30-hour open water surf lifeguard certification program that was run by the International Surf Lifesaving Association. Adam, as a city employee, participated in that and was one of the top in the class. He was a water polo player, so he was outstanding physical shape. I think I might have just seen him bike copping down the street. I'm like, is that Adam? He hasn't changed. He doesn't age. He did so well in that program because the instructors were from the United States Lifesaving Association, from California, from Florida, from North Carolina. They invited him to California for, it was an 8-day, I believe, 100-hour open water surf lifeguard certification training with the California State Lifeguards. And he passed there with flying colors. And they even offered him a job.
You have 1 minute.
But he decided to come back here. And we had super high hopes back then in 2014 that he's the catalyst to bring the lifeguard program. But not sure what happened. Things tapered off very quick. We weren't coming back in the summers for Lake Michigan Water Safety presentation. But you already have a person who's employed here who has all of the experience. It might be a little dusty, rusty from 2014, 10 years old. But again, the technology for lifeguarding, a bathing suit, a rescue can, a whistle, hasn't changed. So I don't know if he would be up for it, if he would want to do it, but you have someone here who already can consult, and he's already on your payroll. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bob Pratt, 6133 Oak Park Trail in Hazlet, Michigan. I went down to the beach to take some pictures of the signs, which are still problematic. While I was down there, I noticed that one of the posts that should be out in the water was laying on the beach closer to the parking area than not. So I brought it here. Somebody reports that somebody in a big white truck stole it. That was me. I brought it here. I'd hate to see it end up, gone or thrown in the trash can or something like that. But regarding my comments, next week you're going to be talking about priorities. Pickleball courts are great. Recreational activities, dog parks are great. Business hubs are great. I want to end with a quote from Thomas Jefferson. The chief purpose of government is to protect a life. Abandon that, and you have abandoned all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Hi again. Kim had to leave early, so she gave me her notes to read for her. So she just wanted to add that 12 drowning deaths since cessation of the lifeguard program, 67% of those occurred in the last 4 years. Our first responders are, through no fault of their own, are not in a position to rescue. Rescue efforts are often led by unqualified beachgoers who are risking their own lives, as evidenced by the drowning death of Anthony Deal, who drowned attempting to rescue his 7-year-old nephew from Texas. For the most part, we are not losing locals to drowning deaths in Lake Michigan. Although 80%, a study was done by Greg Fields that showed just about 88% of those who did drown in the Great Lakes are Michiganders. So we are working on our Bill 736, which spreads water safety education in all schools in Michigan. So if you know any senators or anybody like that, go ahead and give them a call and support the bill. A lifeguard's primary goal is to identify unsafe swim conditions and keep swimmers out. The misconception is that if we have lifeguards, we'll be sending teenagers out into dangerous waters.
1 minute.
To rescue people who should have known better. Lifeguards also identify swimmers in distress when swim conditions appear to be safe. Jasmine Patterson was lost to drowning death on a green flag when only a trained lifeguard could have, or who happened to be passing in a only a trained lifeguard who happened to be passing in a boat recognized that she was in distress. That bystander was able to pull Jasmine from the lake floor and get her to shore, and I actually spoke with a family member of hers. I was out advocating, handing out brochures, and I handed one to him, and he said, "Oh, do you know about Jasmine?" And he told me that they had actually gotten her to shore in just enough time for her to say goodbye to her family. So it does happen on green flags as well. So just consider that when you're making your decisions, please.
Thank you.
Nancy Nat, 125 Elkenberg. We're a passionate group. I think everyone sitting up here would agree. We've been up here pleading, begging, with ideas. Tonight we've solved most of the issues that I think you have had questions with. Please, please, let's get lifeguards on our beaches. Mary, you asked, who should we call first? I would suggest you call Michigan City. They just posted their lifeguard applications, and they're offering starting pay for lifeguards $27 an hour. I'd like to know how they're funding it and I think the fire department's in charge of it, and that could be another avenue for us to go. There are solutions. There are solutions. We could get this done this summer.
1 minute.
We do not have to hear those sirens going down to the beach. If we would just come together as a community. I can't believe all the help that around the state, around the country that are willing to help us. I just think this could be a premier program in Michigan. You all could take pride in it and make this work, and we could all come together and feel good about something, saving lives. What is more important? It's more important than anything else I can think of that we are trying to accomplish here. So please, please, please come together and let's get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? If not, if there's no other questions, this workshop is adjourned.
We got council comments?
Oh, city council comments. Go ahead.
Go fast.
Any comments? Mary?
Yes, I would like to see things starting for the lifeguards. I've heard from people who would like them there. They don't like the sounds of shays and police having to run down there and wondering if it's death, recovery, or survival. I would like to set a definitive date when we could go through the budget to see what funds are currently for beach-related matters and how they might be put towards lifeguards. I appreciate the beach enforcement officers are also for parking and things like that.
No, they're not, but.
Oh, okay. But I would like to find ways to establish who's doing what and what funding is going and what discretionary funding there is so that we can get something going. And I know we have our priority setting meeting. I don't know how quickly you can get it together, but I would like to have, would like you to say by when you could provide that information to us, and preferably within less than 2 weeks, if that's feasible. For the millage, I would like to have definitive clarification from the DDA, BRA, and LDFA if they would opt out, so that whole millage can go towards the rec. And looking at other ways to do that. And I would like to have a group meeting with Debbie and see, what exactly she is, how we might be able to assist her with advertising and things like that. And other ways we might be able to network to help her out, because I do hear from people who have benefited from her services and those who volunteer with her also.
Any other council comments? George?
There's been a lot of good information presented today, a lot of strong arguments for everyone that was here. I just want to remember the way this works is first we set something as a priority, and then we ask staff to start doing things to support that. So that's it.
Right, thank you. Did you have?
Yeah, my comment's quick. I just thought the 3 presentations were excellent. I found them informative, helpful, and puts me in a better decision to pick priorities and make better informed decisions. And I think that's what we need.
Thanks. Jeff or Wendy? Jeff?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just also wanted to thank everyone who presented and spoke about the topics that were listed today. It was really informative, and I am happy to support all of them at different levels, but I do think lifeguards are a priority that hopefully our council will agree when we're setting our priorities in the coming weeks. It feels so important to me to get that addressed. That's all.
Thank you. Jeff?
And quickly, recreation village, easy, South Haven Business Hub, easy, lifeguards, yep, should be easy. It sounds like it's going to be a priority. And when we get there, I just have questions for city staff, but if it makes the list, then I'll ask those questions.
Thank you. And my only comment is thank you to everyone who presented. I appreciate how prepared you were and your passion too. So thank you so much. Any other questions? If no, then this workshop is adjourned.